Coming to Kickstarter this June, John Haynes at Death's Door, the man who rules the world, takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the standard and variant editions of John Haynes at Death's Door and lots of other great stretch goal rewards on Kickstarter this June. Last night, as I was doing my live stream about the nuclear physicist who got rejected by the women on the Pineapple Show, I came to an epiphany. And that epiphany is that many of your educated lame guys, like this nuclear physicist, they oftentimes act just like the females that they complain about. Now, many of your so-called educated lame guys, they'll sit there and complain that black women are always talking about their degrees and their jobs and how this makes the woman not interesting to be with. However, they can't see the flip side of things and see how them talking about their degrees and their job make them just as lame as the females they complain about. Now, many of your educated lames, these guys think that because they have a college degree and a job, this entitles them to any woman that they want. Unfortunately, what they don't understand is just because you have a degree and a job doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get with the women you want. And maybe one of the reasons why you're not getting with the women that you want is staring you in the mirror, because many of these educated lame guys, when they go out here, they're oftentimes not understanding that maybe you're the problem and the way you're approaching and talking to people is turning them off. So when I was watching the guy who was the nuclear physicist, the first thing that I noticed was he had a book, and that really is a turnoff to most women, because here you are in a time where you're supposed to be showing that you're going to express your interest to her, and instead of you focusing on her, you're focused on a book. And that really was one of the things that showed that this guy really didn't know what he was doing. Now, when it comes down to many of the educated lames, they do stuff that they think it's cool, but what they're doing is turning people off. They don't understand that there's social cues that you have to pay attention to, and a lot of these guys are so caught up in themselves and what they've accomplished that they're not really thinking about the other person. Now, this is a big problem with a lot of the educated lames out there. These guys, they just focusing on the things that they want to do, but they're not focusing on how they're coming across to other people. Now, I've seen this also happen with many of the so-called single, successful, educated black women. They don't really take a critical look at how they're coming across to other people that they're supposed to be trying to engage in a conversation. So a lot of these educated black women, they'll be sitting there talking about their degrees and their job and not understanding that you're turning off the guy because you're sitting here and all you're doing is bragging about your accomplishments and not telling you about who you are. And this is what the educated lame also does, and it just turns off most of the women, because most of the women, they want to get to know you, and you're sitting there trying to give them a job interview. And this is not a job interview. This is a chance for you to show who you are as a person, show what type of character you have, and show what type of personality that you have. I mean, usually a guy who's out here with a lady, he's going to try to show a little bit of a sense of humor, or he's going to show a little bit of confidence where he's just showing some swagger, something there to stimulate the woman's emotions, to show that he's somebody who is worth spending time with. And this is something that the educated lame doesn't understand. He's sitting there like the female thinking, oh, I'm going to go out here and try to impress you. But the whole thing is, you don't need to impress her by what you have. You need to go out here and just be yourself. And that's another thing that the educated lame does, because again, he acts just like a female in a lot of cases. He's out here looking to try to impress the woman by talking up big, trying to show out. But guys don't have to show out to impress a female. She knew within the first 5 seconds of looking at you whether or not she was interested in having some sort of relationship with you. So you don't need to try to do anything. All you need to do is chill out and relax. Because if you chill out and relax, what's going to happen is you're going to start creating an energy about yourself, and that energy is going to be the thing that attracts women to you. And that's the thing that the educated lame doesn't understand, because he's thinking, oh, if I go out here and I approach women like I'm applying for a job, one of these women will eventually look to hire me. And again, you're not a hireling, you're a leader, and a leader shows that he's a strong leader by the confidence that he has. Now, some people call that swagger, but that's just confidence. And when you have confidence, you're not afraid to just go out here and be yourself. And that's one of the things the educated lame is afraid to do, because in many cases, the educated lame comes from a single mother household. And because he comes from a single mother household, he's always taught to be this kind of uptight, very, very rigid guy. And he's afraid to go out here and just be free and express himself. So he's scared to be himself. And that fear is what people can sense about this guy. And that's why people look at him and they want to keep their distance from him, because he's not comfortable being himself. Like the female, he's just very tight and stiff and trying to think that, oh, if I try stuff or I tell them about things, this will impress people. But this doesn't impress anyone. In fact, all it does is turn people off, because you're just talking like everything is about your job, but nothing is about you. So when I listened to that guy and I looked at him, again, people were thinking, oh, he's this. It's like, no, he's acting just like the female. And when a woman sees a guy acting like a female, that makes her not attracted to him. And that's what flies over the heads of many of the educated lames, that you're acting just like the female. And if you act just like the female, she's not going to be attracted to you, because you're not showing her leadership qualities. You're not showing her that you're a guy who can go out here and set a direction for himself. Yes, you've accomplished all these things as related to school. You've accomplished all these things as related to your career, but what direction are you going in life? That's what many of these guys don't understand. What direction are you going in? Because she's looking for you to be a leader. She's looking for you to set direction. And if you don't have anything there to say, okay, well, this is where I want to go in life, this is what I want to do, you have nothing there that makes her get that spark that stimulates her emotions. You have nothing there that makes her say, hey, this guy is interesting, this guy is exciting. You're just another one of these guys who came out of school, and you think you're owed a woman. And that's one of the other big problems with these guys, that like many of the women who say they want the good man, you think you're owed a woman, but you're not owed a woman because you have an education and a job. No, you're not owed anything in this life. And if you want a woman in your life, you're going to have to put the work in on yourself in order to make yourself be the person that you want to be. I mean, what attracts people to people is who they are, because people are attracted to people who they have things in common with. And when it comes down to many of these educated lame guys and these square guys, they sit there and they want to just get women for the sake of having them. They don't understand that women get involved with men because they are attracted to them, and they are attracted to things about them, like their personality, like their sense of humor, like their charisma, like their ability to go out here and just be a guy who's just chill. Those are the things that attract a woman to a man when she sees that this guy is going to have strong character, and he's able to just brush things off, or he's just able to just be a cool and chill guy. He's easygoing. He's fun to be around. there's something there. Whenever you listen to women talk about guys they want to be with, there's something emotional there that's stimulating them as related to their emotions. And when it comes down to some of these square guys, they don't understand that they don't understand how to stimulate people's emotions because they're so busy trying to be the good boy. Now, the good boy is somebody he's out there trying to be a good boy for his mother. But the whole thing is, in the world of women don't want a mama's boy. They don't want some soft mama's boy who's out here looking to just sit here and play by the book. They want a guy who wants to go out here and is going to show that he has the confidence to go out here, pursue whatever he wants, work towards whatever goal he's trying to accomplish. They want to see confidence. They want to see courage. They want to see charisma. And the educated lame guy, he's so busy playing it safe that he winds up losing at the end of the day because he's so busy trying to be the guy that would be right for his mother, that he's not the right guy for a woman. Again, a woman wants a man to be a head. She wants a man to be a leader. She wants to see that you're going to go out here and take some charge, take some initiative. And that's not something that we see a lot of the educated lame guys do, because the educated lame guys, one, believe they are entitled to a woman, and they believe that the woman is supposed to see them and just supposed to be mesmerized by how awesome they are as related to their accomplishments. But it doesn't work like that at all, because you having an education and a job and doing well doesn't mean that you are entitled to anyone, especially the kind of women that you want. Now, the educated lame, he thinks I'm supposed to get the flyest girls or the hottest girls, but the whole thing is he's not fly at all. He's not hot at all. He's a guy, yeah, he did well in school. He got a good job, but he's just as corny as anything. And because he's corny, that's why people don't want anything to do with him. Because, again, he's not stimulating anybody's emotions. He's not very exciting. He's not very anything. And all he does is sit there and think, oh, I'm supposed to get all the fly girls. And the whole thing is, he's not really fly himself. And again, he doesn't understand men and women are attracted by who they have things in common with. So he's sitting there upset, oh, nobody is talking to me, and he's not understanding that he's got nothing to talk about. I mean, what is he doing that is interesting, that would stimulate a conversation? That's a question many of these guys never ask themselves. What about me is interesting that would get people to talk about me? I mean, if all you're doing is just, you're the guy with the degree from the big university and you're just talking real bland, what is there about you that says, hey, I really want to talk, I really need to talk to this guy, I really want to get to know this guy? I mean, what's there? And that's something that many of these guys don't really get about things, because they want to sit there and talk about, well, I've graduated from school with a top average, and I've got this great job at this corporate where I'm making six figures, and I'm driving a nice car. It's like, yeah, and what is there about you that's interesting? I mean, what hobbies do you have? What do you do that's fun? What do you do outside of, I just work every day? I mean, you're just working and you're just like a drone. And if you had to look at yourself, and again, a lot of these guys, they never really take a look at themselves. And that's something that they have very in common with a lot of the females that are out here who talk about they're educated and independent. They never take a look at how they're coming across to another person. And that's something that guys who are out here who are really chill, they go, look, I gotta think about how I'm coming across to people, how I'm approaching people, because if I can't approach somebody and connect with them as a person, then I'm not going to be able to form a relationship with them. Because part of forming relationships is understanding that the way you approaching people can turn them off. And that's something that many of the educated lames really don't understand. They don't understand that the goofy, corny way that you're coming across is turning people off. They don't understand that the way you're talking to people is turning them off. I mean, that's what I've seen with a lot of these square guys. They never really think to take a look at how you're talking to people, how you're approaching people. I mean, how even when you go out here and are standing around, the way you're coming across, your presence and your energy is repulsing people. And that's what happens to many of these so-called educated, independent women. They also wind up repulsing people because they're not really taking a look at how they're coming across to people. And you really have to think about how you approach people and how you're coming across to people, because if you don't think about that, you can wind up making a bad impression on people. And this is something that the educated lame doesn't really understand, that you only get one chance to make a first impression. And the problem is that he doesn't look at himself to see how he's coming across as related to making that first impression. The first impression that many of these guys give is one of a guy who has basically no presence. And if you don't have a presence, people can't feel you. And if you don't radiate any energy, like masculine energy, then people don't feel a vibe coming from you. So if you've got no presence that a woman can feel, and you've got no vibe that she can just connect with, then there's not going to be nothing there for her to relate to. And that's why these guys can't attract women, because they don't really focus on those part of themselves. No, they focus on being the good boy for mommy. And there comes a time when a boy has to cut the apron strings and stop being a good boy for mommy and start being a man that is a leader for a woman. And that's the other problem with the educated lame, is he doesn't understand that being the good boy for mommy is not going to attract women to you, because yes, doing well in school, that's good for mommy, but what's good for you? I mean, that's another question these guys never answer about themselves. Okay, you were a good boy for mommy, you got the good grades, you got the good education, you got the good job. Now it's time to be a man, and it's time to have a presence of a man. It's time to have the energy of a man. It's time to radiate the aura of a man. And that's what women are looking for. They're looking for you to be a man. Unfortunately, many of these guys, yes, they have the accomplishments of success of a man, but they don't have the energy or the aura or the confidence of a man. They don't have any of the things, that presence that makes you go, okay, this guy can do stuff. This guy I can trust. This guy I know is going to be about business. This guy I can just feel him. And it's hard to feel these lame guys, because they're just mama's boys. And yes, you're a mama's boy with a degree, but you're not a man who has a masculine energy, and you're not a man who women can sit there and say, hey, I want to get with that guy because he's fly, because he's fun, because he's just a guy who just makes my day, puts a smile on my face. I mean, that's what the educated lame doesn't know how to do. Yes, he can go out here and buy lots of stuff, but he cannot go out here and just make it where a woman just lights up when she sees this dude, because that's what she's looking for in a dude. And you can talk, I mean, I've criticized your Pookies and your Ray Rays about, just being lazy bums. But one thing they can do is they can stimulate a woman's emotions, and they can make that smile come on her face. That guy can make her light up. And that's what these educated lames don't know how to do. They don't know how to just be themselves, because when you are just you and you just walk in a room and you're just you and you're just chill about yourself, that's what's going to make her light up. That's what's going to make a woman smile, and that's what's going to make her day. And in some cases, that's what the educated lame doesn't understand, because he's approaching things like a female, thinking that he's owed a woman. But the whole thing is, you're not owed a woman, and you're not owed a woman to be the one that you want to get with. You have to go out here and, again, put in that work on yourself, and you have to go out here and just be yourself. You just have to put in that work on being the kind of man you want to be, because the only way people are going to see the man that you want to be is if you go out here and be that man. But the educated lame doesn't want to be that man. Like the female, he's wanting the other person to change him and change his life. He wants to use the woman as an attachment that will improve himself, but he doesn't want to go out here and put in the improvements on himself. And then he's sitting there complaining, oh, why are these women rejecting me? Well, they're rejecting you because you just have nothing to offer as related to personality. You have nothing to offer as related to charisma. You don't stimulate anybody's emotions. You're just you make people indifferent. And I talk about this in depth in my book, Stop Simping, about making people indifferent. Because if you're indifferent, you're going to make people invisible. And the whole thing is, like the female who he's trying out here talking about her degrees and her job, she's invisible to a lot of guys because she makes guys indifferent. Yes, she may have a look that attracts some of the simps out here and some of the players, but once they get to know her, they see her as just as lame as the educated lame, because there's nothing there that stimulates your emotions or makes you feel enthusiastic about them. So when I look at at these guys, again, the educated lames, they complain about the boring black women, but they can't see how boring they are as well. So when I look at the educated lame, I see a guy who really is, again, a lot like a female, but he's complaining about females, not understanding that if you're like a female, then a heterosexual woman isn't going to be attracted to you because you're not radiating the energy that says, I'm a masculine man, that is attractive to a straight female. So if you've got feminine energy and a feminine presence, or a weak or no presence, you're going to attract no one to you. And that's what happens to many of these educated lames. They don't see how they're just like the females that they go out here and complain about on the regular. Now, if you want to learn more about how to break out of being an educated lame, you can pick up my men's issues books like Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, The Misadventures of Captain Save-'em, The Man Crisis, and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And you can find all of these books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.